Football feels irrelevant after such incomprehensible news like the news we painfully discovered on Thursday morning that Diogo Jota and his brother, Andre Silva, had passed away. News like that leaves you speechless. Two men in the prime of their lives, two men living the dream. And they say that only the top 1% of footballers make it to be a professional. Both were in that 1%. Diogo Jota made it to the top 1% of the top 1%, leaving us as a champion. And from the heartfelt tributes heard around the world from all those lucky enough to know him, it's clear that he was also in the top 1% of human beings. Our sincerest condolences go out to the family and friends of Diogo Jota and Andre Silva. All I can personally say is it leaves me stunned, profoundly saddened, and it reminds me how important it is to be grateful for both what we have as well as the time that we have. Rest in peace. So, first game, Fluminense versus Al-Hilal. And in the lead-up to kick-off, both teams, fans and officials showed their respects with a minute's silence.
Liverpool player Diogo Jota, who along with his brother Andre Silva, also a professional footballer with the Portuguese club Al-Hilal. Both brothers who died in a road accident in Spain. And Orlando, ahead of kick-off, pausing in memory of them. Renato was in to close it. Now the Brazilian voices roar, but slightly off balance. Here's Martinelli! Lift off for Fluminense! It's Al-Hilal! Brilliant save from Fabio! Marcus Leonardo goes down, the referee points to the spot.
If there is not a foul, there is a normal football contact.
The Brazilian rule will tell you it's no penalty. Deeper this time, Al-Hilal finding space, and it's in! Marcus Leonardo! They've done it again! Al-Hilal, the masters of scoring early in the second half. Chance for Cano down the other end. Bono to the rescue again. Here's Hercules! Fluminense in front for the second time in this quarter-final. Fluminense of Brazil are through to the semi-finals of the FIFA Club World Cup.
So, Fluminense make it through against Al-Hilal. I am joined by JJ Bull making his debut, which is wonderful. There he is, waving. What stood out for you today? We've got two games, obviously, to talk about.
Well, I didn't think Fluminense would go through, if I'm brutally honest. And I've enjoyed watching them and seeing some of the different things the managers are doing, how they've adapted to each other, really, and what changes they made for the game. Yeah, we're going to have a closer look at that in just a second. And Niamh, what stood out for you today?
Probably that feeling of, what have we got here, when we saw that Andre Santos, be making a debut.
Yeah, and quite a sort of unique debut that we didn't expect to happen, which we'll reveal in a sec as well. Liez, what stood out for you, mate?
Just loved watching Cole Palmer's natural position today, to be honest with you. I thought he was so good in that right half space in number 10. We'll talk about it, of course.
Yeah, a little
really
debate there.
Really love that
Niamh's
performance, to be honest with you.
Things to be spoken about there. Lots of social reaction, of course, to that Fluminense win. We can have a look at some of them now. And, yeah, a lot of Thiago Silva on his knees. Not just because he's probably knackered after that game, but he's a very, very happy man as well. And the celebrations were there for all to see. Check this out, guys. Absolute limbs on their way. You wouldn't expect anything less.
Look at that.
Absolute shock in all of that.
I love disbelief in a celebration.
That's
They're
it.
having the time of their lives right now, man.
I mean, because it's a shock, right? I think, and it obviously means a lot to them.
Yeah.
Like, you can see that, you can feel that in the stadium, can't you?
100%. I think that's really amazing about this tournament. I mean, the best team in Brazil right now, I believe, is Flamengo. Fluminense have struggled over the past season or so. And they come to this tournament and they have taken it by storm. Semi-finalists. Would anyone have predicted at the start of the tournament? I think it's what makes the Club World Cup so beautiful.
Absolutely. Yeah, look, they're in tears there. Amazing stuff. Absolutely fantastic stuff. And speaking of limbs, Matt Farias has been out there with Fluminense throughout the tournament, and he's one of our reporters for DAZN. And his celebration at full-time was pretty raucous as well. Hopefully we can kind of have a quick look at that as well. He was literally pitch side.
Wow.
If you get a chance, go and check out his Instagram stories, because he is so close to the action. Absolutely amazing stuff. Of course, when that second goal goes in, we're going to break down that goal. Leah's going to talk us through it. It's great stuff. But for Matt Farias, it's been a very, very, very special time for him. And all being well, he should be joining us right this second. Oh, fingers crossed. Matt, are you there?
Hey. Hey guys, how you doing?
Yes, sir.
We're very good. I imagine you're pretty good as well. You were in the dressing room, is that right? What was that like?
Oh, it was awesome. It was insane. I mean, right when you get in there right after the match, the energy was insane. They had the Brazilian music. And it's really cool for me as well, because I've just been kind of following them around, and I kind of get in there. They're like putting me into the party as well. So it's really cool for me as well. But forget about me. Amazing for them. Unbelievable. History's being made. So, yeah, that dressing room was amazing. Amazing.
Maddie, my boy, how you doing?
Yeah, Lyles, what's up, man?
My
How
God, what you
doing?
telling me? I got a question for you, brother. We all saw the iconic Thiago Silva clip of you this week. I mean, that was absolutely beautiful. You gave him his flowers in that moment. But what's it been like really seeing his leadership shine through in the flesh during this tournament? How inspirational has that been?
Oh, it's amazing. And every time you speak to anyone that's kind of like the younger people of the group, everyone just talks about how much of a privilege and honor and amazing it is to have someone like that to look up to. And every single game, you kind of see that, like, everyone kind of looks to him as an inspiration, as a reference, as a role model. So it's kind of been a very, very common theme across the team. They put him highly, him as well as the goalkeeper, who's the oldest in the tournament, Fabio. Kind of just like the main guys that the people look up to as a reference. And man, I'm talking about, in my opinion, one of the best captains in the game. Absolutely brilliant. And it's just awesome to see it literally firsthand.
No debate.
Hey, Matty.
Hey, what's up?
So you've been with Fluminense now, close up and personal, and we don't really know that much about them. We've seen the video clips, but just do your best to describe the fans, the club. What's it been like?
Well, I think someone mentioned, I think Lyles mentioned it earlier. If we looked at the 4 teams that qualified, people were kind of looking down at Fluminense to be the least to go the furthest, if that makes sense. And it's kind of like, I think you guys described it perfectly, disbelief and also just excitement. And it's very awesome to see that they're kind of realizing this is actually happening. Like, we're making it happen. And I think someone said it earlier, that shows the beauty of this competition, right? It's like, Renato Portaluppi, who's the coach of Fluminense, says it all the time. Financial differences, sure. Resource differences, sure. But my team plays the best and plays with heart, no matter what it is when we're on the field, 11v11. So it's just really awesome to see, I guess, it coming to life and being with the fans. It's ridiculous. I mean, they're just living the dream right now here in Orlando, especially, which is a very big Brazilian presence in the United States. Parties all night, parties before the game. It's insane. People still honking until this time, which is midnight over here. Unbelievable. That's unbelievable.
I have a question for you too. So from what I've seen from the tournament, it seems like the Brazilian teams are really into this tournament and they really want to win it. So I wonder if you could tell me, like, what does it mean for those teams? Why is it so much more for them than maybe it seems for some of the other clubs?
Oh, I think this is this is my opinion on it. I think the European teams, some people may look down on this tournament with what I've seen, at least in the media, but I think Brazilian teams are taking this opportunity. I think other teams around the world to prove that they can compete with the big dogs. And I think that's why they're coming into these games with intensity, coming into these games, basically saying, we want to make a statement showing we don't care if we're not the mainstream teams. We want to show that we can compete. And they're proving it. Underdogs against Inter Milan, they proved it. Underdogs against Al-Hilal, they proved it. Another underdog game coming up versus Chelsea. I don't want to say it, but who knows? This tournament is going a certain direction.
And last one from us, please, Matt. But we had the Estival derby, Palmeiras versus Chelsea. It's going to be the Thiago Silva derby now. What do you think is going to happen? Do you think they can do it?
I said this before the game started. I think they would lose to Palmeiras, but they would beat Chelsea. You could call me crazy, but I personally believe that when they verse these teams, they kind of bring another level. If they verse the team that they already versed throughout the season, that is automatically kind of already better than throughout the season, it could have messed them up. But I think they're here to prove something, and we're talking about Thiago Silva's ex-team. I think that's going to be a factor as well. I do think they could do it. I know it sounds crazy, but people call me crazy when it was Inter Milan. Al-Hilal, yes, I'm calling it. They'll do it versus Chelsea as well.
Good man, I love it. Love the energy. Amazing reporting, Matt. Great stuff. And yeah, stay crazy.
We
like it. We like it a lot.
Appreciate you guys.
Amazing stuff. Great stuff from Matt there. Right, well, they won the game. How did they win the game? That's the big question here, guys. Let's go to the tactics board because JJ Ball was watching a game that we weren't watching because I'll be honest, the first 30 minutes of that were tough. So we're trying to find the nuggets, but the nuggets were there, fortunately. And if we go on the tactics board here, we can see the two lineups. And then I'm going to make a slight adjustment here. You can see a little bit of manoeuvring. And if I do an awful squiggle, this is what we want to talk about. Is that right, JJ?
Yes, that is right. So they've been playing different shapes. It's been really fun watching this game because Fluminense have changed their shape depending on the different teams. Start with a 4, playing a 5, and what you have here is a back 3. It turns into, well, it's a back 4, you know, but the left wing back's pushing really high up. And I think a lot of what we've seen here is in this entire game is that the two managers are basically cancelling each other out. They're reacting to each other. And what they've done here is the left wing back's pushed up because it means they can double up on that left side because I think all the threat from Al-Hilal is going to come from Malcolm. We've seen it in other games. They've mostly played down that right-hand side. So if you can shift it to that side, you can help gain an overload. And I think we've got some clips as well. You can kind of see this in action as well. So the overload's really useful. But what you might see when we get into this, there's the back 3.
Yeah.
So that's obviously what we see. But you can see straight away what's going to happen is the left centre-backs, they push really far wide, effectively on the left back, and because Malcolm's playing inside, not really on the right, it means he's really the spare man, and that means that you can do different things, because now the left wing-back's higher up, so you can pin that full-back, so that leaves space in behind because Al-Hilal playing the man-marking system, the player drops, so Koulibaly goes with him, leaves the space to try and get behind, can't do it that time. Now in the second half, Al-Hilal change, and they change playing a front 3 during the middle, so almost man-to-man with this other team. And that just affects the way that Fluminense are trying to go forward. They have to... Their wing-backs can't do the same thing. They can't overload on them, and it gave Al-Hilal a lot more control. They managed to get into the game more. You see here, they're pushing their wing-backs forward so they can pin the full-back. It creates space in behind for those runs. That ball doesn't come off, but it's an example of what they're trying to do. Not everything you do tactically has to work to have been a success.
And it was interesting to see the sort of the to and fro of the game, like you say, like them sort of exploring that side, but also kind of negating Al-Hilal in this game. And it was one where, when you look at the sort of market value of these two teams, Al-Hilal is a team that is a lot more valuably is assembled to the Fluminense side. But it's Fluminense side, that back 3, really, really impressive. And you were really impressed by the fact that sort of out of possession, when to engage, when not to engage, like how often. Exactly. And it's one where the Fluminense, people aren't going to really sort of rate them because they don't have the ball that often. And Amir sat here, didn't he, Liaz, and said the team that doesn't have the ball the most is going to win this one. And it happened again from them.
A thing or two of Alphavon.
Yeah, he's not too bad. We'll let him off. But yeah, that was a really, really impressive thing for me. And so we have to kind of focus on that defensive side, don't we, Niamh? And the centre-backs, that back 3, since they've gone to that back 3 in the knockout rounds, that back 3 has been tenacious and really impressive, hasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And teams that are comfortable not having the ball will always be dangerous teams. And Fluminense are that. And I think I've really enjoyed them ever since they've moved to having the back 5 because it's meant that Thiago Silva could have a centre-back on his left and a centre-back on his right as well. And we'll see that actively within the game. You can see the 3 centre-backs tight together from the very beginning of the game. We saw the 3 of them tight to each other. And what that sort of meant for Al-Hilal, and it's meant for previous opponents, is that you can't just go through them. You can go around them. There'll be bags of space around them, but they're comfortable with that because once it comes to getting the ball in a central area, they've just got plenty of men who are so concentrated and on it. And Freitas, who's highlighted here, he's an example of when a team is trying to push and pull you and sort of probe you a little bit, you have got to be focused and know when to step out and when to track your man. And you see, just here, he does that perfectly, because it's a risky game to play. When you disrupt those three that are together as a unit, it's risky that one of you has to go, but you have to do it because you can't just let the men be free. So you've got to be able to do it cleverly and aggressively, and he committed to that each time, and I thought he was spot on, and he put an unbelievable performance in. So did Ignacio, the other centre-back that was next to Thiago Silva. And what I'm a little bit concerned about, I will say, is that Freitas actually picked up a suspension. So he won't be able to play in this game. So it'll be very interesting to see if Fluminense do what they do, which is adapt, change things up, or if they're kind of liking this new little formula they've got going on.
I mean, I would be amazed if they moved away from that back three, but obviously Thiago Silva is that star. But having those two players, and as you say, it's one of those ones as a centre-back, and that's what I've really enjoyed Ignacio on the other side, is that ability to be clever, smart, intelligent, but assertive as well, and aggressive at the right times as well.
The timing's really important, especially in the pressing.
Right?
Like, everything that the front forward press is really impressive, super aggressive, but it's timed. And when you have different individuals, you might not have the same cohesion. And like I say, the timing's the most important bit.
Yeah, exactly. Because they sort of didn't press. There was big gaps, wasn't there, when they had the ball? So it is all about going at the right time. And yeah, great spot, Neve. Let's talk about the winning goal then, Liez, because a centre back was kind of at play at this one as well. But there's also some great play as well.
100%. We built this up really as Koulibaly versus Thiago Silva, two former Chelsea defenders. But it was Hercules, the hero. Again, he scored the goal against Inter to seal that win the other day, and came up with a second goal as well, too, for Fluminense. And this is really just relentlessness from him. Honestly, this is what this goal is all about. Gets the initial shot off, chases it down, gets it back, finish that we're going to look at in more detail. But that really comes from Koulibaly aggressively stepping out and not really coming back into that position. You almost see Ruben Neves start to lean because he realizes that his right center back isn't there. And he's almost thinking, okay, I got to cover these guys, without even realizing the guy in front of him has a clear shot on goal. And we always say a goal is kind of an accumulation of mistakes. It's never just one. It's one that adds up to another, that adds up to another. The question for you, though, is that finish from Hercules right there, it's a little bit of a scuffed one. Some people might say he mishit that, but I actually think that's really good from him. Sometimes you can hit it almost too purely, and it's almost like easy for the goalkeeper to save. The fact that he's kind of scuffed that and bounced over the keeper, some may say it's intentional, but I actually think it's really smart from him. Yeah.
I think, do you know what, I kind of come back to the centre-backs for a second, because the Koulibaly things are important, right? I feel like, again, to those assertive decisions, Koulibaly's kind of trying to be positive there, and it's actually hurt him in the end.
Yeah, well, it makes sense to try and push out because there's space to run into. But you can also see in that same clip is that when he pushes out, he is chased immediately by 4 or 5 players, because that's what Fluminense are really good at, being really aggressive, and they commit to it. And the scrappiness of it, it's not a beautiful goal they score. It doesn't matter because they get through, and that's what I've seen from a lot of the Brazilian teams. Actually, it's just been really super aggressive, front-footed, going for it, and teams don't like playing against that.
The first goal they scored against Inter the other day is the perfect representation of that. Again, they're building up, they lose the ball, and there's a bit of a deflection that sends them through on. It's all a little bit chaotic, but
Inter in that game as well, it seemed that they didn't really realise how much Fluminense were going to go at them as well. So the first 5 minutes, oh my, what's going on here?
It's good. They blitzed them from the start, 100%.
Yeah, maybe they're destined to win it. Who knows?
I'm with Maddie, man. You can never write them out, and I think, kind of like Umir said, they don't mind suffering. I think that's a very admirable trait for a team to have, a team that isn't afraid to secede possession and go periods of the game without even seeing the ball and defend for large periods. You saw the last 5-10 minutes of that game. It was literally Al-Hilal just throwing balls into the box, and Fluminense don't mind playing that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Brazilian Estival started against his parent club in the second game of the day, in what could be his final game for Palmeiras before, of course, joining Chelsea. He couldn't knock out his parent club, could he?
The winners of this know their opponents in the semi-final. Will Palmeiras make it an all-Brazilian affair and join Fluminense? Or can Chelsea, England's sole representatives, make the last 4? Here's Palmer. Palmer from range, and needed Weatherton to make the save, which he did. Chalabar with a little bit of licence here. Palmer, lovely turn. Cole Palmer setting himself up and getting the goal for Chelsea. Will it fall on through here for Cole Palmer? Loads of space from Kunku. Under it, wellied it. And that's a big chance gone for 2-0. Crosses good one to the back post, downward header from the arriving Van der Laan. And Sanchez has to deny on his line. Ball in towards Estevao, the touch is good, the shot's even better! Wow! He scores against the club he's going to join! Enzo Fernandez, it's returned back through, it's right across, oh! Malo Gusto for Chelsea restores their lead, but the inquest will be into Weverton. Pedro may want that first Chelsea goal, unselfishly gives it to Madueke. Brilliant save, and the post helps as well. Well, Weverton made amends there. That really will do for Chelsea. And Chelsea are into the final four and will meet Fluminense.
Okay, so Chelsea make it through to the semi-finals, and once again we had a different lineup, a different shape. And I'm going to run through the last 4 games because there have been so many changes. So this was the first game, this was the second one. Loads of changes made throughout. Lavia out, Fernandes coming in, Delap coming in, Chalobah coming in this one. Lavia then came back into the side and Kunku came into the side. Dewsbury Hall was then in there on the right-hand side for this one. Loads of changes there. Then in the next game, more changes afoot. Palmer on the left-hand side this time. And then even just before the game was about to be played against Palmeiras, this was supposed to be the lineup. But Reece James gets an injury in the warm-up and Andre Santos finally gets that opportunity to play. And despite all those changes and even that change in the warm-up, this was a very fluid, well-coached team, JJ, and we were all incredibly impressed in that first 20 minutes. The pace of the game was really high. Palmeiras were trying to cope with that, but they were struggling. Why were they struggling?
Because Chelsea were really good, I think, for one thing, but the shape there isn't really what you saw at all, you know, because it became a 3 and a 2 for build-up for a lot of it. I think we've got some clips as well. You can see some of the changes they made, but like the 3 becomes a 2 at some point. Then becomes Andre Santos becomes the main pivot player, you'd call him. And then they'd have other players like you've got Gusto there and you've got Fernandes who would kept dropping in either side of him. So you could have a 3 in the backdrop, you could have a 2. You see it here. Here's when they're playing a 3 and there's the 2 in front of them, obviously, and that's what Maresca kind of likes. But because they have that, Palmeiras couldn't figure out how to press against them. Normally they sit deep anyway, but when they were doing that, they were dropping in and couldn't work out where Chelsea players would appear. So they kind of appear out of nowhere. This is a bit faster, but you can see that all of a sudden there's Andre Santos in the zone, then all of a sudden someone drops in, and what they're trying to do is always trying to open up this diagonal pass. So when they can get that pass in, suddenly they can have a lot of fun. So I mean that's the example of that there. But throughout the game, like you couldn't tell who would be where and when, and the players knew intuitively when to do it. So again, here's the 3, becomes a 2-3. So now you can go forward. And Chalobah has a room to go into for this little section here. And you can see this player now realises that he has to go and step out to him to mark him because it's his man. But that frees up Cole Palmer to finish. And after the game, Palmer was talking about how they'd worked on this sort of thing with the manager. I'm not sure that exact scenario, but trying to get the ball diagonally into them and the ball fired in from Chalobah, I think moving players out of the way to try and open these passing lanes and the way they've built up to confuse them is exactly what worked really well in the first half, and they just couldn't deal with it.
Yeah, it was. I mean, we were kind of thinking, oh wow, okay, are they here? Because we're waiting for this with Chelsea. You know, spent a lot of money, they've got a lot of players, they've got a lot of quality, they've got a lot of potential, but sort of making it all click together. And we kind of wanted to show you those 4 lineups because there's always been something that's felt a little bit amiss, maybe the balance not totally right. Cole Palmer was on that left-hand side. He was more over on this right-hand side this time, or essentially in that 10 position as well. Did that suit him a little bit more today, Leas?
I think it suited him to perfection. I genuinely mean that, right? Obviously,
We've got a disagreement on this, by the way,
we talked about this last week, right? And a lot of people actually disagreed with me. A lot of people, to be fair to Neve, were completely on her side. But I think my main point here is that I feel as a manager, right, to get the best out of your team, and it's all about the team, that comes in getting the best out of your best players, and you have to platform your best players to do so. And when I see Cole Palmer on the left, like last game, kind of being limited to playing at a certain angle at all times, it is a little frustrating for me because I know what this guy's capable of doing. And I felt today we really got to see the best of Cole Palmer in certain opportunities. This guy getting the chance to receive it on his back foot, play in those half spaces on the right, being able to cut in on his favored left foot, being able to kind of dictate from these kinds of positions, swinging it out wide. That's what Cole Palmer is all about. And then obviously, we'll talk about the goal as well, too. But what I like about Cole Palmer on the right is that he has the opportunity to go inside, but he can also take players out on the outside as well, too. When he plays on the left, he's really just restricted to always playing out on his left at that angle, whether it's feeding in Cucurella or crossing. Here, he can go outside, he can cut in, he can send crosses in, he can play it with the lap. I think he's just a lot more free, and that's the key word for Cole Palmer. Freedom. This is the best attacking player you have at your disposal, the most creative and the best goal scorer. You have to maximize a guy like this. And then for me, the goal on top of it, JJ was talking about those punched passes through the lines. No one is better in this Chelsea team at receiving the ball through the lines on his back foot, and then this finish is the cherry on top. I thought we got to see the best version of Cole Palmer today, and I'm not going to say this was the best version of Chelsea because of that, but I think a lot of things with Chelsea unlock when you get the best version of him.
Neve, do you agree?
Do you know, no, I totally agree that that's his best position, right. Don't get me wrong. But I also agree with this idea that different matches, you've got to manage each game differently. And different matches, different oppositions might require you having certain profiles and assets of players in different positions. And it might be a slight bit more uncomfortable for that player, but you can still use their passing skill set, movement skill set, all those skill sets in a slightly different area. And what I think with Chelsea now, what I think Enzo Maresca is trying to do is actually find where he can get other players to contribute to the goals and contribute to the assists and get involved in creating stuff, because the last thing you want is to become reliant on an individual to be that person that creates it. And at the end of the day, yeah, Chelsea were good today, but Chelsea were also really good in the previous game, scored plenty of goals in the previous game, scored goals in this game, and the position was slightly different. It was just what suited what.
I think if we look at the previous game as well, too, Neve, yeah, Chelsea actually played well in that first 90 minutes. I think they kept Benfica penned in. But if we look at the course of the game, they had a lot of chances that fell to their left back, which is very ideal for your defending team. And the one goal they scored in that 90 minutes before the red card to Benfica came from a wonder goal from Reece James, which wasn't really, in my opinion, play because of Cole Palmer on the left. So I agree completely with what you're saying in terms of sometimes players have to sacrifice for the benefit of the team. But I go back to my point. The best players on your team, until I see someone that can maximize his role on the right more so that Cole Palmer has to go on the left, I don't think Cole Palmer should be shifting out for anybody in this team from an offensive point of view. I truly believe that.
JJ?
Yeah, well, I think it might also be useful because they can change mid-game as well as game from game. They can just change the shape mid-game. So, like, Palmer might start one part but then change in a move. So, like we're saying, all the rotations, it's just one of many of them.
Fluid, for sure.
Exactly, that really helps free things up. Yeah.
I think the other thing maybe to touch on is the fact that, yes, this is the best version of Cole Palmer, but when you're looking to try and get to the weakness of an opposition, it might be one where, because Cole Palmer is your best player and you're not really sure about their right back, for example, or their right-sided centre-back, that might be the other reason why you might put Palmer there. But I've got to say, I do think he is better here because in terms of coming onto that left shot, opening up and seeing the goal the way he does, he's just electric there. And I think the balance of this team was really, really good. Talking of changes, rotations, yes, but also we've got to talk about Santos because he had his debut today, Neve, and you were looking forward to seeing him. I think a lot of people have been clamouring to see him. How did he do?
I think he did really well. I think we've got to really bear in mind that he was just thrown in, wasn't he? And I think the key thing that I was really impressed with him was actually on the ball. That he didn't really try too much, but he got those basics spot on. And it was actually just exactly what Maresca will have wanted for him. He wanted him to, when you get the ball, straight away, look up, make a pass, keep the ball moving. And there were so many examples of that where he got the ball, he turned quickly and he moved it forward. Straight away, turns, moves it forward. And this actually led to a really good little attack. But what I will say, and you sort of start to see it here, is he did have quite a lot of space. And I think that plays into what you could, well, look at the amount of space he's got in front of him here and all the options he's got around him too. And I think that plays into what JJ said in this idea that you had Vitor Roque, who basically sometimes would press towards the centre-back, sometimes he'd press towards the midfield. Same with Richard Rios, he wasn't quite sure who he was pressing, and what it actually led to was that there was quite a bit of space around him. But you can't ask for more from him on the ball, I don't think. I think he moved the ball quickly and efficiently.
Yeah, it's a great, solid one and a perfect one. You know, if you are a 6, just to be there and have that bit of space for your first game, it's nice. He didn't do anything wrong, didn't set the world alight either, in my opinion. João Pedro did come on. Obviously, a bit of controversy, him being transferred in and being able to play, but you liked him, didn't you, Liz?
I thought it was a really good cameo. For his debut, I thought he did everything that you would expect from João Pedro. I thought he made the ball stick really, really well. And Delap contributed very well for Cole Palmer's goal. I thought his run was very underrated in taking away a defender, but I did find at times that he was struggling with the hold-up play. I know me and JJ, we looked at this a little differently, but I did think at times he was conceding fouls, he was losing the ball out, but I thought every time the ball kind of fell to João Pedro, he showed his associative play. This is a very technically able striker that is willing to get others into play. He's a strong guy, he's decently mobile as well too, but it's really his technical skill set that makes him such an interesting player for Chelsea. And I thought he created a brilliant chance right at the end for Nani Madueke. I believe this is the one right here. And again, his patience, picks his head up, and it's a beautiful pass as well, too, into the path of Nani Madueke. On a different day, maybe he gets an assist there. But I was really impressed, man, and it just gives Chelsea a different dimension up front. We know Liam Delap is a bit more of a transition forward, a bully ball kind of center forward, whereas João Pedro is just willing to kind of hold up the ball, get others into play, and make the attack click. And I think the biggest loser from tonight is actually Nico Jackson, because it's another player kind of who plays in that position, in that area, that also brings something that he kind of offers. We talk about Nico Jackson as such a gifted footballer, also willing to get others into play. Now that João Pedro kind of offers that, if he can just prove to be a little bit more reliable of a player than he is, that's not 2 center forwards that are potentially ahead of him. And I worry for his place in this team. Towards the end of the window, he could be a name that we see linked to a few other clubs.
OK, well, our boy, my boy, Kweku Afari has been with Chelsea and he's spoken to João Pedro this week. He's actually on his way back from the stadium. First of all, Kweku, are you safe? Are you OK? Blink twice if you need help.
He's on the move.
Yeah, we're OK. We're OK. It's been a busy evening, and Chelsea have managed to make their way through to the semi-final of the Club World Cup. It wasn't easy. But Chelsea just had enough in the locker to take on and beat a very, very game Palmeiras side. And so having talked to the Chelsea players after the game, they're very happy. It's a performance that maybe you can pick holes in, but ultimately, when it comes to tournament football, it's about winning the game and getting through. And that's what Chelsea did tonight.
And you spoke to João Pedro earlier in the week. Tell us about him. What's he like? Did you get sort of a feel on his mindset? Obviously, he's come into a pretty crowded dressing room, but he also made his debut and did well.
Very confident boy. I actually got him singing in his interview. Talked about his initiation, about the song he was going to sing, and talked to a few people who work in the Chelsea media team who previously worked at Watford. And when he first joined Watford, couldn't speak a word of English. His English is almost perfect now. He's a person that assimilates any football club he goes to. We saw that at Watford. We saw that at Brighton. I think we're going to see that at Chelsea as well. Asked him about his best position. He said it's a striker. He referenced Cole Palmer in that as well. He referenced the fact that Cole Palmer is one of the best players in the world and he's there to help him and to make him a better player. But like Leah said, I think that Nicholas Jackson is now looking over his shoulder. He's a player that obviously got suspended in this tournament. He missed a chunk of time. He's also going to be missing the beginning of the Premier League season as well. And so this is a chance for João Pedro to really impress. Liam Delap's going to be missing the next game through suspension. And so let's see how well he does when he starts a game for Chelsea rather than coming off the bench against tired legs. But I was very, very impressed with his cameo. The ball stuck. Kind of reminds you of Gabby Jesus, right? In terms of technically sound, physical, but also willing to do the dirty work as well. So I was very impressed with his performance.
You've been up close and personal with the whole Chelsea squad. Straight after the game, what was the feeling, the celebrations, how are they feeling? And did you get any quotes from anyone, any chats?
Sense of job done. A sense of job done. Maresca was very pleased. The team was very pleased. I think you see a switch in the Chelsea mentality. Before when Maresca came, it was all about performances and style of play as he was trying to embed his philosophy. Now it's about results. And over the last 10, 15 games, not only in this competition, but also in the Premier League, we've seen a Chelsea team that have managed to get over the line by hook or by crook. Against Benfica, it's against the wall for a period of that game, especially after the stoppage, but came back in extra time and got the win. In this game, they managed to get the win despite being pegged back by Palmeiras. Listening to the interviews from players like Pedro Neto and players, obviously he's a player that has had a difficult couple of days because of the news about Diogo Jota. But those players are very, very locked in. They know that this is an opportunity to win this competition, and I feel like they've got a great chance, right? Semi-final against Fluminense, final potentially against whoever comes from that side, the draw. And this is a Chelsea team that I think can go all the way for sure.
Kweku, thank you so much. Great to chat to you, mate. Keep doing a great job. And by the way, he's not driving there. He's in the back seat. I'm sure he is. I'm certain he is.
I'm not.
No, you're not. Of course he's not.
He doesn't know how to drive in the US.
yeah. Good man. Just quickly then, out of those two, Chelsea against Fluminense, who do you have winning that one?
I would think Chelsea. Fluminense, the danger is that they are good out of possession and they can just beat you with a single big chance. And you often create those if you're playing without the ball and getting into space that's left behind. I think Chelsea should be expected to beat that. You can get a bit more pressure from that. I think they started this one against Palmeiras, so like they were really at it. And I think that's a good thing, because if they were going into this against Fluminense and they didn't have the same like drive, I think that would be that's how they'd get beat basically. But I mean, the obvious predictable answer is that
Chelsea,
there's a more famous, like expensive one would win. Yeah.
Final predictions then. Go on. Just give us a score prediction. What do you think, Nick?
Just to hit you with a number.
Smack me with one.
I struggle to see how Chelsea won't score. I think that with Fluminense, they were really organised and good against Al-Hilal, but a lot of it was coming down one side with the driven runs, and there was many opportunities on the other side where Al-Hilal didn't really make those direct runs, where there was space to be run into. And Chelsea, they're going to have people making those runs either side. So, yeah, I'm not going to just give you a score. I'm not going to do that for you. I'm going to chat instead. I didn't answer your question.
Truculent as ever, Neve.
I'll give you a score, don't worry.
Go on, Leah. Give us a score.
2-0 Chelsea.
Thank you. Was it that hard?
I could have also
Was it
said
that
that.
difficult? Unbelievable. Well, if you don't know, it's our final episode. Thank goodness. Thank goodness with this one. This final episode of The Press, 17 shows in the bag, and it has been an utter joy. And so we've put a few bits together. Here is the best of The Press.
Hello friends, and welcome to The Press. On today's show, I'm joined by an alpha, a beta, and a meta. Now, Cormac McCainch, aka Football Meta, is obviously the meta. I'll let you guys guess between Julian Laurent and Liaz Bouzidi. Who better to talk to about all things Italian football than James Horncastle? Julian Laurent, football analyst, Liaz Bouzidi, Cormac McCainch, Neve Patriziello. And poor Brandon had to deal with 40 minutes of delay and Phil with Don Hutchison. But the universe did provide, and you have now commentated over an outrageous Messi free kick. This is the moment. You know, Messi! Bang!
Just to get that, I think commentators wait years. I've had it in my first 2 games.
I'm still not sure there's 5 players on his level in that regard.
This is the moment where you said, that's my GOAT.
He was about to convince Man United to sign for 30 million.
By the way, that's so good. Oh, hello. Mamelodi Sundowns, that's right. Official account. Their manager decided to follow me on Instagram. I played it cool.
They're following me as well, and they're sending me some shirts. I can share my shirts with you. Oh, they didn't follow me at all.
So we're on the 3rd day of this story. Liaz has got the follow from the gaffer, Miguel Cardosa. Apparently he was following you all along.
Goodness me, what a statement win this is.
Julian, I think I'm going to go to you, a very smug PSG fan, and you continue to be smug. That's
yeah, I mean,
right.
are you talking about the European champions here?
One of the big talking points that we wanted to discuss was RefCam.
Hey.
RefCam is here. Look at this. I absolutely love this. Bodyguards. When did bodyguards start turning up in football games? I didn't realise that was a thing. Yeah.
Belotti sees red.
I'm more surprised he can get his foot that high, to be honest.
Well, yeah,
I think he carries a bit of timber as well.
That's harsh. No, we don't fact check. Come on.
I'd love to know a little bit more about this style of play, shoe shine and piano.
When you play a piano, everything is very close. All the fingers, they play together, one side and the other. So the expression piano comes from that.
Great to see Dembele back.
I go Dembele.
Yeah, every day. I'm the host of the show, so okay. You go. Come on.
You got Messi shirt and Suarez shirt. You could get Lia's shirt, but first Lias have to go to the bank for
okay.
And after, maybe you can send it to Esteban.
Look, Mum, it's me with Messi and Jude Bellingham. Sorry, I got a bit excited there. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon. As that good-looking lad said, thank you. Thank you so much for watching. And all the incredible comments that we've all had, I think. People have really seemed to have enjoyed it, or at least a few people, so thank you for that. Favourite moments? JJ, I mean, you've only had 40 minutes worth, but...
it's more than enough.
Yeah, it was a joy. Just going loopy on a night shift, it'll do that.
I don't mind that, but I've really enjoyed watching the show. I think you've done a fantastic job. Everyone's done a great job. I've genuinely enjoyed watching it from afar.
Favourite moment?
Coming in, having my tea... and just being able to chat football with you guys.
Food, right?
I feel like football is just so much better when you've got people to talk about it with, isn't it?
I completely agree.
Absolutely. Yeah, you were going to talk about the Chelsea-Benfica one. That was a madness that people aren't really aware of, are they?
Yeah, well, when we thought that we were going to have like a maybe more normal night.
That's the worst part of that.
We were just up and up and up, and then Benfica score and an extra time.
Elias, favourite moment?
Nah, I've just really enjoyed being here every single day, rubbing shoulders, favourite creators. Julian Laurent. I mean, Julian Laurent, that's a journalistic royalty right there.
I think that's my favourite.
Yeah,
it's just taking in the scent of Julian Laurent.
I was going to say taking the knowledge. This guy's talking about taking in the scent. No, but honestly, sharing this sofa with you guys for the last 2-3 weeks, it feels like years, honestly. But it's been an absolute honour and pleasure.
Shout out to Mamelodi Sundowns, by the way. I know Leah's had enough of it, but we've had a great time. Yeah, well, you got the follow, right? So show a bit of appreciation. And one final thank you, if I can say, absolutely everyone here has been amazing.
Yeah.
Luca, Grace, Tom, and Kai. Kai is a broken man, but Kai, well done, mate.
Thanks.
You are an absolute legend. I love you to bits. Right, enough of that nonsense. More great action coming on DAZN. Jack Catterall returns to the ring in Manchester tonight, aiming to bounce back with a statement win against the unbeaten Harlem Eubank in a thrilling all-British welterweight clash. It's a great undercard. Don't miss any of the action later tonight. Saturday, July 12th, WBC lightweight champion Shakur Stevenson defends his crown against undefeated Mexican star William Zepeda in a stacked fight night in New York City. And on July 19th, the Saturday, Alexander Usyk and Daniel Dubois run it back in London for the undisputed heavyweight title in one of the summer's biggest rematches. And then on Saturday, August the 16th, rising heavyweight star Moses Itoma headlines his first pay-per-view event against the legendary Dylan White in Riyadh. Youth versus experience in a high-stakes British showdown only on the DAZN app. And then when it comes to the football, so many great games still to come. Paris Saint-Germain against Bayern Munich, that's at 5 p.m. and Real Madrid against Borussia Dortmund. Okay, so, well, that's pretty much all. Just to say one last time, thank you to all of you. Great debut. Neve, you're wonderful. Leah's, your class as well. And thank you to everyone who has watched the show. That's all from us at The Press. It's been a pleasure. We hope you've enjoyed it, and we will see you next time.